Hi, everyone, and welcome back. You might be slightly confused now because just a while ago, I was in that couch in the panel and Innocent was here as a moderator, and now we switched places.
Tables have turned.
Yes, tables have turned. But as you will notice, considering the topic, I might as well be sitting in the panel as well. So this will be more of a sort of conversation between friends and I was about to say foes, but that's not really true. The topic of this panel is freelancer or FTE, full-time employee. So we're going to talk about sort of building your career outside of the corporate structure and what that means. And as I said, I have a personal take on this. I hear often that people view me as somebody who's brave because I left a full-time job when my kids were one and three, I think, to build my own company. I never really viewed myself as being brave. I was more leaving a context that didn't make me happy, where I wanted to be a manager, but nobody listened to me. And I was like, I want to be happy. I want to work in a space with a boss who believes in me. And that's when I founded my own company, and that's 7 years ago. And, probably the best decision in my life, I'd say. So let's start with a personal take. In this panel, we have Tima Fofana, marketing whiz, working with e-commerce, website designer. I mean, you do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And you've been working with Aline, of course, helping them out with their marketing efforts, among other things.
Yes.
We have Innocent Mugenga, one of the founders of Aline. You've also been a colleague of mine at a conference called Gather.
Exactly.
Yes. And we have Isabelle Deleskiwicz.
Wow.
Well,
Good job.
brand designer. And so I would love to hear your take on this. I already told you sort of my take on this, but Isabelle, let's start with you. Would you say that you have a moment where you actually felt that you did something not as traditional, where you took a leap that people were like admiring of sorts, or where you felt brave?
I would say, entrepreneurship journey is all about brave leap and a step of faith. But one of those was, I would say, a few years ago when I was like doing freelance gig during the evening and working a full-time job during the day. I took 3-week trips to Australia to go to a creative conference, and just before COVID. And I went there and I just were amazed by this 10,000 creative people all over the place. And I've just decided, okay, I will not wait to have like enough gigs to have 100% of my salary paid. I've decided to go back to France and give my resignation letter and quit my job and start full-time freelancing without knowing what will come next. And I've done that. Every people in my family went crazy. And the next day I received like a call from nowhere asking me, do you want to freelance 100% of your time and how much you would have? I'm not like saying that that amount.
That doesn't happen every time.
Please do. I would not say like quit your job, do this, and you will receive the call. But I would say like if I had waited, maybe I would have like not having this bravery in my veins today. I think having this step of faith before having the call change everything in the way I'm working today.
And the timing of this, you went to the conference right before the pandemic.
Yes.
So does that mean that you built your business during the pandemic?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. Like the 100% time.
Yeah.
I've been like a part-time freelancing for 3 years before that. But the full-time freelancing I've started January 2020. Pandemic started 11th of March 2020. And I've been really having I've been lucky. Also working in digital during the pandemic helps a lot because everything went digital. So I would say my work is pretty much like really thriving during pandemic.
The reason why I asked this because I would say that the pandemic is actually the first time in these 7 years, my 7 years as a freelancer, that I felt super vulnerable and scared. I know now that it only lasted for a couple of months because then the digital part of building conferences and facilitating just started to blossom, and it turned out to be an even better economy for me at least than the physical in-person one. But yeah, super interesting. So Innocent, what about your endeavors?
So I come to think about sort of my transition from, so the majority of my adult career has been very entrepreneurially based, but I used to run a chain of fashion stores. And then during that period, I also worked with communications and marketing. So I handled all our communications, set up our e-commerce. And I remember after that journey, I decided that I know communication. I've worked with it for 4 years now. I want to continue working with this, but not having the conventional educational stamp on my CV maybe. Also maybe the fact of, as we spoke about previously, when you apply to jobs and who gets the benefit of a doubt and having a name like Innocent Mugenga, I really didn't find any opportunities. I didn't get any job as a communicator. So at the time, I didn't see it as a big step. What I did was, with maybe an entrepreneurial spirit, I decided to start a company. If no one wants to employ me, I'll employ myself, similar to what you're saying. And actually took on my first clients within fashion, worked with big brands, big Swedish brands like Peak Performance and G-Star Raw, and had to prove myself maybe in that way. And that was my way into freelancing as a communicator.
So, I mean, obviously, as a white person, it's somewhat easier for me, but I can still see, the red thread there that freelancing can also be a way of taking a career that nobody else hands to you, and
ownership.
An ownership of your own career when people don't believe in you for different reasons, be it your background, ethnical background, or your gender, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. So it might be like, okay, so my CV doesn't impress you. What about my portfolio? So you create a portfolio of clients and actual work.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I would say exactly the thing. Like the difference between full-time employee and freelancing or having your own company is like people look at you in terms of achievements more than in terms of resume. And they will ask what you can do, and they will give you a shot really much more easily than a resume. Because there is a lockdown key. There is kind of like a feeling of when there is like a full time.
So in a way, we're living the future that we spoke about in the future of sort of learning panel.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's hear Tima's take on this.
Yeah, it's literally gonna sound like I'm echoing Innocent in many ways. So my academic background was in journalism, and my career background was mainly in sales for years. And I discovered very early on that I wanted to work with marketing. Like, I love marketing, and I'd freelance for friends, or I'd do like a project here and there. And very similar to Innocent's experience, like once I decided that, okay, I'm actually going to go for marketing, I want to work in communications, I applied for jobs, like I wouldn't get a call back, no one would contact me. And I'd actually reach out to recruiters and be like, hey, just out of curiosity, how come no one contacted me, just for feedback so I know for future reference.
Smart.
And they would write things like, oh, we're actually looking for someone who has a little bit of knowledge in LinkedIn marketing, for instance. And I'm like, I used to work at LinkedIn. Like, I literally worked there. So I have quite a lot of experience. So I started to connect the dots that, okay, it's my name and my ethnicity. So I basically just felt like I don't want to live like this anymore. So founded my own company and started freelancing from there.
Wow.
Yeah, strong stories. It's sort of... both discouraging and so great to hear that it's still possible to find that route sort of around.
There is hope.
Definitely.
There is hope.
For everyone.
Yeah.
And we really want that to be the sort of the main message of this panel.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say, if we want to encourage everyone who's listening to take a leap? Having a full-time job is perfectly fine, but if you want to do it. You want to start your own business. You want to choose another lifestyle.
I think there's
What do
a
you
level before thinking of it as starting a business when you could think about it as gig. So gig work. So let me try to gig maybe on my free time. And then sort of if that builds, you can build on that and then create the full business out of it. But it's becoming more and more easy to sort of try out without too much commitment. But of course.
But how do you do that? Because I just quit my job.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I was brave or stupid. Probably a little bit of both. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to start small, you could have a full-time job and be a freelancer at the same time, I guess. But what options are there?
For me, it was like literally working at a creative studio as a project manager for really luxury, good, big brands. And I was like just falling in love with the DA team, all the creative team. And I was like, I will never know how to use Photoshops and everything. And I just started hanging out with people and what are you doing on the lunch break, like just looking at them because it seems like they don't need to eat. They were always working and everything, and just be attracted by the passion there and starting asking a lot of questions. Then looking for mentorship. Can you have time to help me? Can I help you with anything? And try to be just open to accept any way I can help. So start to volunteer and then help in organization, association for free, obviously, but where I can just learn aside and alongside amazing people. And when it's changed, it's the day someone started to ask me how much you would ask to do that. And I was like, what? Can I actually be paid for that? That's where my mind shift. And I was like, okay, now I can start to think as a freelancer. Maybe my work worth something.
I really like that because you're really driven by your curiosity there. So you're letting your curiosity guide you and just where can I apply? Where can I learn?
Yeah.
I like that approach.
Yeah, same. Amazing.
What about your transitions? Like, did you do a stupid brave jump like me, or?
Yeah, I did it more like you. And I'm thinking you said 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think mine is maybe closer to 5. I don't remember. I don't have the best time perspective. But today there's so many more platforms where you could take a gig, get paid through the platform. So it's much more easy for you as an individual to transact with a company. So I feel like there's more.
Yeah, you don't even need a company,
like
an official own. Yeah,
exactly. That's actually how I started. I put up a profile on Upwork just to basically freelance. So that's how it kind of started. But then it got to a stage where in my day job, my sales job, like it wasn't going well. And I had to look deeper within myself, like, okay, why isn't it going well? Because I know I'm good at sales. I know what I'm doing. And I realized that I actually am so unhappy. Like I used to be the person that didn't mind Mondays, but all of a sudden I started dreading Mondays. So I came to a point where I realized I have to love what I do and I have to feel excited about working and excited about Mondays. So yeah, I quit when I didn't really have any clients. I freelanced a little bit, but one of the things that I did, and even with Aline, was I was looking for companies that needed like interns, really. So any type of marketing intern. And I just reached out to them like, hey, I'm just starting my own company. I want experience. You need help. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, kind of. So that's really how I got into it step by step.
And I would add, like, if you want to help, if you want to learn, if you want to change career or do something aside, you have to also be really specific. When you come to someone and you say, I want to learn from you, I want to help, you need to first dig deeper into yourself and say, what do you want to learn exactly? Because like I see a lot of people, including me, Innocent and Tima, we are eager to help someone else achieving what they want, especially if I can make you learn something you need to learn. But I need to know what do you need? How can I help you? Yeah, exactly. So if someone come and say anything, I'm kind of a bit lost. But if someone came and say, I need to learn this specifically, and I see that in you, then I'm like, of course, whatever, I want to help you.
That's so true. It makes it so easier. I could have some people getting in touch with me with, and when they're specific with, I'm studying UX and I'm interested in, getting in the field and understanding how to develop a product from scratch. perfect. Let's have a conversation about that. And
Rather than just, I'm interested in Alina's company. I want to hang out with you.
Yeah. I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But
Yes, time.
To the
time
next
is scarce.
person.
exactly.
An important part of this is, of course, building your own sort of personal brand. You already mentioned that you worked on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Did that help you in actually using LinkedIn to leverage your career and visibility as a consultant in any way? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it helped in the way that I was familiar with the platform to start off with and knew kind of how to find companies to reach out to, what groups to kind of join, and just the conversations to really involve myself in, so to speak. But I think I didn't leverage it as much in the beginning. It was more emails and calls. I was basically cold calling and emailing people on a regular.
What about you? Which channels have been important for referrals?
So for me, I think there is no recipe. Like there is no correct recipe. There is more about like authenticity. Like stay who you are. If you are not eager to personal brand yourself on socials and put your face everywhere, I have a lot of people who brand the personal brands or their company, and they said, I don't want to put my face everywhere on my socials. I'm like, it's okay. If it's not fit for you, even if it's the trend today, don't do it, because at the end you will not attract the clients you are able to help. You know, so don't fake yourself, because people will see it on the long side. So for me, cold email calling didn't work because I'm a half introvert. So it's always been about like networking. Like a person who I worked with was like saying a lot of good thing about me, and then it came at a point where I was like, oh, I don't have time to help you, but so I'm still 2 years later, full time at the point of I'm still haven't marketing the cold email and things like this, because I always have like the network, and I love working that. And it's also what a reason why I came to live to Stockholm during pandemic, not to flee from my country, but because of I'm one-on-one person. I love to meet people. I love to be in a co-working place and talk to people, help, and more than marketing, even if I do everything digital for my clients.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm also that kind of social person who loves those interactions. And I guess I see that as social capital is always there, regardless if it's in the room or in a larger context. What social media platforms allows us to do is sort of scale that. So authenticity as the vantage point, and then whatever channel comes natural to you. We have spoken about this.
Yeah.
I have a very hard time with Twitter. You're a superstar at Twitter, but Twitter is not really my channel, so I stay off it. But LinkedIn.
Yeah, which
for
is a good thing.
sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be sort of crazy to be on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what I'm missing? Yeah, but no, it's staying true to sort of, it's just scaling yourself on these networks, basically.
But what I would add with social is like go where your client would be.
Yeah.
If you do small businesses or individual entrepreneur, go to Instagram. But if you do big company, it doesn't matter. Go to LinkedIn. Use Facebook groups. Really market like do some research and look where your ideal clients is hanging out. Don't spend too much time trying to be in 6 different socials. That doesn't matter, even like, especially if you're starting. If you're starting, you need to really be focusing on 1 or 2 channels. It might be really weird to say that in 2021 too.
Lost count.
But that's really will save you a lot of effort.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
One of my favorite examples is Innocent and the way we met. When you just you just contacted me and you said, I love Gather. I would love to do like a podcast series, interview some of your speakers. And I just loved it. And you did it so well, which eventually led me to invest in Aline, because I know, that you're a person who who takes initiatives and do great stuff. So that's another way of building your brand.
And yeah, I think there's something great there. So there, yes, I wanted to do something specific. I wanted to do the series, but out of curiosity. But I think a lot of networking is just, okay, you were in that context then, so I found you to be a very curious person. I didn't think maybe someday I'll get her to invest, or maybe like when we're when you're speaking to your clients, maybe someday this will be a client. Just giving,
exactly,
giving, and then ultimately,
exactly. Great example. So we have to wrap up, but I love wrapping up the panels I facilitate with just like a recommendation, like almost a one sentence recommendations to the people who are listening. So I guess when it comes to this topic, it would be something along the lines of like on Monday, if you want to start your way towards a gig life, what action should you take? One action. Yes.
This might not be as much of an action, but your mindset. For me, I had to develop a growth mindset. I had to not be afraid of failing and knowing that I'm actually going to learn from failing. So that's been probably the biggest impact on my freelancing life, so to speak. Just having that growth mindset and not being afraid to try things.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah, what about you?
I would probably go for knowledge sharing. So communicate, share your knowledge and insights. Just give once again. And without, it doesn't have to be super intentional. It is good if you have a call to action and all of that. But ultimately, just communicate, give insights and knowledge. And people will see you as knowledgeable. And when they need your service, they'll probably turn to you, hopefully.
Yeah, I love that. On top of that, I would maybe say like, don't wait for excellence or perfection to start. Don't wait to have like enough money or enough time, enough people, enough network. Just start and see, because everything you will need, you will find on the way.
Yes.
Amazing.
I love that.
So much wisdom. Thank you.
Thank
you, Tima, Innocent, and Isabelle.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What was that? I was twitting. I love it. Thank you.
So that, my friends, were all the panels, the keynotes for today. And now I'm handing over to Innocent and Stephanie for the final words.